When you have 500,000 Americans sleeping out on the street today, and then you also have 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of American society, that is a moral and economic outrage. So if you're asking me, do I think we should demand that the wealthy start paying, the wealthiest, top 0.1%, start paying their fair share of taxes? Yes, that's exactly what I believe.
Taxing income is not going to get you where you need to be the way taxing wealth does. We need a wealth tax in order to make investments in the next generation.
Okay, well, that's one way to pay for it. Mike Rowe, TV host and author of a brand new book. It's called The Way I Heard It. Joins us live right now. Mike, I know you were traveling, promoting your brand new book.
Terribly busy, Steve.
You were on my radio show yesterday. That was the highlight.
Not that busy.
Bernie Sanders, among other things, wants a 97% tax rate on the 400 richest Americans because he's got big plans with a big price tag.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a free country. Ideas, float them, fly them, run them up the old flagpole, see who salutes. Look, in the end, you've got millionaires arguing with millionaires over who hates the millionaires the most.
Right.
And I guess it's a conversation we'll have, but I remember a couple years ago, I took my my meager staff over to the Reagan Ranch. You know, if you haven't been, it's
beautiful.
It's terrific. But one of the stories they tell is the time when Ronald Reagan just finally decided he was done doing movies. He was just done because he was paying 92% of every dollar he made on films. And it was just math. You know, he wasn't done acting. He just looked at it and did some basic calculus and said, not for me anymore. It makes no sense to do this.
So the wealthiest people will just say, I'm not working anymore.
I live in California. I just read a report that said the exodus this year as a result of a 13.5% state tax and some other tweaks to the system is unlike anything they've ever seen before. So I know it's convenient. It's fun to kind of hate the rich and all, but in the end, they're just people, and they're going to do the math, and they're going to go to where the math is better.
I'll tell you, this is when I thought about you during the debate, the guaranteed income. They had 2 or 3 of the candidates saying, get $1,000 because automation's here, and you're not going to be able to get a job, so let's give people $1,000.
Why not 2,000?
Maybe more. Why not?
Right.
Why not 3?
So all you do is hang out with people that work for a living, and you try to find out about their jobs, dirty jobs. That's when you really emerged. And when you see people giving money away, what does it do for the self-esteem when you get something for free?
You can't ignore the human condition. We're fundamentally lazy people. We have to be taught, I think, to not be lazy.
Don't call Ainsley that. I don't mind if you call me that, but please.
I'm calling you fundamental. I'm calling me lazy.
I think that's worse. But
well, I'm just saying that, you know, if you give me a choice, and I don't see myself as lazy, but if you give me a choice of the easy way or the hard way, I can't help it. I'm going to default to the easy way.
Wait. Free money?
Free money.
I want it.
So, look, my only concern, not my only concern, but my biggest concern with that kind of arguing is exactly what we discussed yesterday and just now. Once you say, okay, free money, the next question has to be, why not more? And that's the beef with the $5,000 surge in the middle class right now. How do you argue against that? You simply say it's not big enough.
Right.
Why not 10?
Incomes of the middle class have gone up $5,000 per family during the Trump years so far.
Right. Yeah, not enough. Sorry.
How's that going to fare election time? I mean, the economy's great. People have 5,000 more each year.
If I learned anything from 2016, it's I don't know. And looking at polls today, but you guys tell me. I flick around all over the place, and I still see people looking at polls and saying, based on the poll, ...
Every day.
Why would anybody look at any poll anywhere and conclude anything ever?
I agree, but the one thing that's going to help you, and if you ever go back to dirty jobs, is these trade deals allow manufacturing to come back to this country where the middle class can reestablish itself. And that seems to be the theme, and I don't think Democrats are pushing back on it. Let's talk about your book, even though I know you don't want to discuss it. The book is now number 6 on Amazon. But you're not about numbers.
No. Why trust a poll?
We're going to help you get it to number 1.
Clearly, it's number 1. Right. This is fake news.
What's it about?
The book is, well, it started as a collection of stories I write for my podcast, which is called The Way I Heard It. My mother read them and said, well, these are very nice, but it's a rather lazy approach to writing, don't you think? Publishing something you already read. And I said, okay, sure. And so in between each story about a famous person I've never met but I'm intrigued by, I tell a story of my own misspent youth. So the book goes between autobiography and biography. It's a memoir interrupted by some nonfiction stories about famous people I wish I knew a little better.
Well, and you have the one great story about Mel Brooks. You want to tell it real quick?
No, because there are many great stories, Brian, and I don't
You
feel
can't
like...
reject my question. That's not even an option.
All
Have you
right.
seen talk shows before?
Spoiler alert. I do tell a
Oh,
story.
yeah, I told you the end.
Yeah, you
I'm
told
sorry.
the end. See?
I apologize. Oh.
You ever seen a show like this before? Unbelievable.
Going back to the fundamentals.
Okay, let's make it fundamental. Do you remember Paul Harvey? The rest of the story?
Good day.
The story.
So I ripped off that idea with permission from his son, but it's the way I heard it is my version of Paul Harvey's old radio show, where you learn about history and you learn about biography through mystery. So that's the spine of the book. Those are the tiles in the mosaic.
You have 35 mysteries.
I have 35 mysteries juxtaposed with 35 true stories of growing up with two of the most interesting people in the world, which were my mom and dad.
Right.
That's awesome.
And one of the book ends with one of the stories ends with Mel Brooks.
Stop with the Mel Brooks.
I'm just saying.
Mel Brooks.
I'm just saying it's a great story.
His name was Corporal Kaminsky, and in the Second World War, during the Battle of the Ardennes, he climbed a utility pole and jerry-rigged a loudspeaker, changing the propaganda that was playing by the Germans to Al Jolson's Tut Tut Tutsi. And it was one of the bravest, most outrageous things to happen during the war, and it informed the rest of that guy's career. If you think about Blazing Saddles and The Producers and Springtime for Hitler and all these wildly inappropriate things, it all started when he was a teenager during the Battle of the Bulge, when he played a great Jewish song to a forest filled with Nazis. And if you don't think that sounds interesting, then I don't know which camera to look at.
And it's that one.
That was great. Look at all of them.
I looked at all of them.
Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
thank you
Mike.
for having me.
Congratulations. Everyone go get his book, The Way I Heard It. Mike Rowe.